one is baptized, one gets wet. To varying degrees, depending on if you're sprinkled, or if you're dipped, or if you're dunked. But I wonder, what happens when the water dries? Does it make any lasting difference in our lives? Today we celebrate the feast of the baptism of Jesus. And it's an opportunity to think about his baptism first. What did it mean for him to be baptized? But equally to take the next step and say, what about our baptisms? What do our baptisms mean to us? The baptism of Jesus is in all four Gospels. So that means it must have been very important to the early Christian community to have it recorded and to have that story told, although the details differ considerably in each of the Gospel accounts. And we continue to tell the story today because it is an important story to us as well. Because when the water dried, Jesus' life was never the same again. He knew that whatever he did, whatever he taught, whatever questions that he answered, the taunting, the traps, he was called by God and he was invited by God into a way of being and a way of living. God would give all that he needed for Jesus to live faithfully. And God would give everything that Jesus needed to die faithfully too. What happened to Jesus when the water dried? Life took a different course. He was not just a carpenter or the son of a carpenter. He was the Messiah. Martin Luther said this about baptism. He said, baptism is something that's done in the church one day, and it takes the rest of our lives to complete. I think there's truth in that. And when the water dries, hopefully our life is different because our faith is forever different too. Now hopefully we don't enter into baptism simply out of tradition, or to please the grandparents, or to update the family portrait. Hopefully we do indeed spend the rest of our life living out that baptism, faithful to that sacred moment of grace that we experience in the waters of baptism. We're called to consider today, how do we respond to that covenant that we make in our baptisms and that we recommit ourselves to as we will this morning as part of our liturgy today? I read an article, it's called What Next? What next? Good question. Because being baptized isn't enough. Going to Sunday school isn't enough. Going to Bible study isn't enough. We need to turn to God. We need to repent. We need to do a 180-degree turn in our lives. And we need to always, always act like followers of Jesus Christ. The followers we are called to be. The beloved children of God. As we too are named in our baptisms. You see, there's more to a Christian life than being comfortable because we're baptized. Instead, baptism is a matter of living faithfully every day of our lives because we say yes. And it's about saying we intend to live in a different way with a thankful heart, a more God-centered life, a commitment, a promise, a covenant of baptism that says we will respect every single person and show dignity to every single person. And that we will seek justice in the world for every single person. It doesn't matter whether we agree with them. It doesn't matter whether we like them or not. We are called to be respectful and to show dignity and to seek justice for every person because of who we are as beloved children of God and as disciples of Jesus Christ. In baptism, we affirm our hope. We experience the fullness of God's revealing power. And that unleashed Spirit calls us to boldly proclaim things can be different under God's reign. And not only that things can be different, but they will be different. Because God has said it will be so. The sacrament of baptism, we make a statement of the same good news that John preached. That for everyone who yearns for it, there is a new world that is possible. There is a new creation. There is hope. Even in the midst of tragedies like the plane crash of the other day, there is hope for this world that we live in. And if we lose that hope, and lose that faith, and lose that trust in God, who calls us his beloved, then what is it that we have left? For our own lives, for the world, for all creation. It starts here and it starts now. And it starts within Christian community as we experience it in our relationships with one another. Relationships that we've had for years in our lives with the person that we've known for years. Relationships that we have with the person we met just this morning, maybe. It's about being the body of Christ, the body of the beloved, living in relationships of integrity, where we can be genuine with each other, and where we can love each other as God has loved us. And isn't that what it's all about? Loving each other as God has loved us. It starts here, it starts now. It starts with you and me, accepting that there are no limits to how far God's grace extends. We put limits on grace. We put limits on blessings. We put limits on forgiveness. God doesn't. We do. There are no limits to what God can accomplish. We put the barriers up to what can get accomplished. God doesn't. Because God can accomplish so much as we faithfully live and as we faithfully proclaim our baptismal hope in our relationships with God, in our relationships with each other in this place, and in our relationship with the world around us. There's a movie that's called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And it's the whimsical retelling of Homer's Odyssey set in 1930s Mississippi. Three hapless escaped convicts, Everett, Pete, and Delmer, are hiding out in the woods, running from the law. And they encounter a procession of white-robed people going down to the lake to be baptized, singing, "Let's go down to the river and pray." And as the baptism begins, Delmar is overwhelmed with the beauty of it and the mystery of the rite. He runs into the water and he is baptized by the minister. And he returns to his companions and he declares, "I've been saved. I've been saved. Neither God nor man's got nothing on me now," he said. And he explained that the minister told him that all his sins had been washed away, even when he stole a pig for which he'd been convicted. "But you said you were innocent of that," one of his fellow convicts exclaimed. "I lied," he said, "and that's been washed away too." Later, the three convicts stole a hot pie from a windowsill. Delmar returned and put a $1 bill on the windowsill. You see, Delmar was not made perfect by his baptism. He still went along with stealing the pie. He was no more perfect than any one of us are made perfect by our baptisms. However, it was a conscious and intentional time for him to make a new beginning. Life was different. And so he went back and put a $1 bill on the windowsill for the pie that he had taken. Baptism is about more than paddling in the shallow end of the pool. Baptism is more than splashing around in the bathtub. Baptism is more than leisurely dipping our toe in the ocean. Baptism is about diving into the deep end of the pool, trusting that we won't sink and drown. Baptism is about running into the waves of the ocean, letting them crash against us without knocking us over. Baptism is about standing in an eternal shower of warm water, morning we will renew our baptismal covenants on this feast of the baptism of Jesus. And for those who desire it, you will be invited to come forward and have the sign of the cross made on your forehead. And as we do that, remember, you are baptized. And in your baptism, you are part of the body of Christ. In your baptism, you are named as God's beloved. Ask yourself, what difference does it make that you're baptized? And pray for the continued desire to renew that baptismal covenant and commitment every single day. Remember, we are different because of our baptisms. And be thankful and show that gratitude as we live into that baptismal identity with joy, with hope, with faith, with trust. And the truth is, I believe, we never really dry off from our baptisms. The Spirit within us guarantees a life drenched by the grace of God and the Holy Spirit. So we could say, as baptized Christians, we walk around dripping wet. And that's good. That's good. I hope, I pray for myself that I stay drenched because of my baptism, dripping wet in my faith, so that my baptism will always, always, always make a difference. And my prayer is the same for